Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the SBK Betting Podcast. Tom Collins and Ross Miller here to talk you through all of Saturday's action, a little bit of Sunday as well, as a bit of a bonus this week, and also provide our best bets and tips across the weekend. We always like to start these podcasts by providing a little bit of a news pointer, Ross. This is where I come to you with the latest bit of news from the week. Last week we talked about Rachel Blackmore retiring from the saddle. This week, we saw an appeal after the French 1,000 Guineas between She's Perfect and Zaragana. She's Perfect crossed the line in first. Zaragana was beaten a nose. Then they reversed the result. Zaragana was given it. Then the connections of She's Perfect appealed, and they didn't get the appeal. The result stayed. What were your whole thoughts on that situation?
Oh, I've got many, TC. Initially, when I first watched it, I felt like they were within their rights to appeal. I thought they should appeal. I thought they were hard done by. Then we saw the drone footage, which bizarrely in their sort of social media campaign, which I just think was, great content, but I can't think the France Gallo stewards would have watched it, and I'm absolutely certain they wouldn't have paid any attention to it. I thought that actually did them an injustice, because I thought it proved that actually Zaragana was really inconvenienced, and they seemed to be confused by the fact that because they hadn't touched Zaragana, that meant they were in the clear. And I thought, actually, if I was them, I would have almost not shown that quite so publicly. The right result in the end came down. It's a great story, £50,000 filly for a syndicate. Many of them is their first horse. And it's a great story, but they've got the right result, I'm afraid to say. And they'll just have to go and do it again, won't they? And she might even improve for another couple of furlongs. So they might get their Group 1, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be great to see a rematch between the two fillies. As you say, fantastic story, a good talking point, which has basically divided social media across the last week or so. People thinking that She's Perfect should have kept the race to start with and then won it on appeal, and the polarising opinion to that. So, yeah, it's a 50-50. It's all about opinion, and there's no right or wrong answer, though I do think you're right in saying that Zaragana deserved to keep the race, and the appeal was never really going to work. But there you go. That's the talking point this week. We will move swiftly on to Saturday's racing and plenty of tips, which is why you've come to this podcast. A reminder that SBK is once again offering a 20% Saturday horse racing ACCA. T's and C's do apply, minimum 4 legs to qualify for that offer. But as I always say, if you like putting your horses in combination bets, head over to SBK, because that boost is second to none. It is a fantastic offer, so go and take advantage of it. The first race that we will preview this Saturday is the Sandy Lane Stakes at Haydock, the 3 o'clock. Big Mojo tops the market here, around 9-4. There are plenty of other good horses in the race, and it's quite competitive. Maybe it's a race that you should be looking for a horse at a bigger price, Ross. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm really pleased to see Big Mojo bounce back and win that Commonwealth Cup trial earlier in the season. I actually tipped him up and backed him for the Commonwealth Cup after his win last year as a juvenile, and he slightly went off the boil. But I was always clinging to the fact that I thought he was quite a leggy, weak individual last year. Didn't look like a typical sprinter, I didn't think. Certainly not a 5 furlong horse. He's cleared on well for a winter on his back. He's the right sort of price, I think, but I just wanted to go at something a slightly bigger, particularly given that if he wins, I have an upside in that my ticket is looking better for the Commonwealth Cup. So I left him alone. I think he's got strong credentials. I just slightly concerned another change of jockey, Jason Hart, coming in. Tom Marquand rode him last time. No insult to Jason Hart, but I think you prefer Tom Marquand, or certainly most people would. So I've gone with Powerful Glory. Let's get the negatives out of the way first, so that the comments in the YouTube don't have to. Richard Fahey's form is not great. He's 7%. That is a concern. But the weather is improving all the time. At some point, we know this is the yard that will really hit form, and that can change, with so many runners and so many young horses from day to day. And it is his first start of the season. It's a pretty big ask on the first start of the season. But he's only had 2 starts. He's rated 106. He's got loads and loads of upsides. His Pontefract win on debut worked out really well. Dash Dizzy was 6 lengths back in third. He's now rated 102. And he then went to the Mill Reef, where he drifted violently throughout the day in the market because of the ground, heavy ground in the Mill Reef. Certainly wasn't looking like it was going to suit him, and he coped and he won and he got it done. I thought that was a sign of a really classy, gutsy horse, because I'm certain the ground wouldn't have suited him there. It is a big ask on his seasonal return, but I think he's got by some way the most upside in here with just 2 starts behind him. Yes, Richard Fahey's got to find some form, but he will. And for a second week in a row, I'm going to go with the Richard Fahey horse and keep my fingers crossed.
Yeah, Powerful Glory, 11-2 now. I will say we are filming this at 11:40 on Thursday, so only an hour after declarations. He did kind of open at 7-1 after declaration stage and the bookmakers first priced up, but into 11-2 now. What do you think about that price? Is that fair?
I'm just glad I didn't mention him as an each way angle because I wasn't. 7-1 was the last price I saw. Yeah, I mean, getting a bit short. I was happy with 7-1. And I probably would have backed or had some of my stake each way. I think at 7-1. That's a positive sign, isn't it? I think the credentials are there, and I think because he hasn't run for a while, people have perhaps gone a bit cold on him, and of course the Farhi yard form. But I'm not too concerned about that. It will change at some point, and it might just be today or tomorrow.
Yeah, the rest of the market, for full clarity, this is on Thursday. At the time of recording, Big Mojo 5-2, Symbol of Honor 3-1, Arizona Blaze 5-1. Then you've got Powerful Glory 11-2, First Instinct 8s, Ain't Nobody 14s, and 20-1 bar. I completely agree with your angle, and I did think that Powerful Glory was one of the better horses to play in this race, and he was probably last off my shortlist actually. But I just opted to go for a different route. I like Big Mojo and actually tipped him last time at Ascot when he won. But I do think he was a little bit fortunate that day, and maybe he kind of got the rub of the green. The horse that finished third was Ain't Nobody. He had no cover in the whole race. He was raced right out on the wing, yet he made a big move to hit the front and then just hung away his chance in the latter stages. First off the layoff that day, maybe he was kind of taking a blow in the final 100 yards. I wouldn't be surprised to see a reversal in the form there. And Ain't Nobody's 14-1, Big Mojo 5-2. Big price discrepancy. So I'm going to be with Ain't Nobody in this race. But it's a pretty good edition of the Sandy Lane. We'll move swiftly on to the Temple Stakes, the featured Group 2 contest at 3:30, again at Haydock. This race has cut up quite a lot since the entry stage, but Magira is your current favourite around 3-1. I'll run you through all the prices in a second, but first, Ross, who do you like?
I'm going to go for one at a big price each way, TC, and that's Twilight Calls. He's now with Richard Spencer, having moved from Henry Candy. Made his debut for this yard in the Palace House Stakes. He's got 6 lengths to find with Rumstar. That's plenty. But I just went and watched it back. He did much the best of anything that was held up in that race. The first 4 home, Rumstar, She's Quality, Clarendon House, and Washington Heights were all ridden prominently. Twilight Calls was a long way back under Jamie Spencer. I just loved what he did from 2 furlongs out to a furlong out. He absolutely motored through the field without being hard pressed to do so. Then to me, let's take a blow. He hung away to his right a little bit. Jamie Spencer wasn't hard on him, only used his stick really to straighten him, and he weakened quite dramatically in the closing stages. It could be, of course, that having moved from Henry Candy to Richard Spencer, Henry Candy knew something Richard Spencer didn't and needed him off the books because he's not perhaps the horse he was and has some physical issues. But I'm just going to take the view that maybe this is a run that will bring him forwards. He was quite weak in the market for the Palace House Stakes. If that does bring him forwards, I think he'll certainly close up on Rumstar. He's around about 5-6 times the price that horse is. He's twice the price of She's Quality. He's a quality horse back in the day. He's got some quite good form without winning at Haydock over this trip. And I just think that if he can sit a little bit closer and show that kick at a better time and sustain it, 20-1 each way is sort of price that appeals to me.
Yeah, big price. And Richard Spencer's actually doing pretty well with these horses earlier in the year. 2 Tribes ran well at Newmarket and then probably should have won at York, but was given a lot to do. And, well, not necessarily given a lot to do. He just couldn't go the early speed of the leaders that day and finished with a real flourish. And Richard Spencer, as I say, has got a nice team, and maybe Twilight Calls is the top of that pecking order right now. 20-1 is a big price, albeit this is a competitive race. As I say, I'll quickly run through the prices at the time of recording. Magira and Rumstar, 130 favourites. American Affair, 6-1, the same price as Starlust. 15-2 Washington Heights, 9-1 She's Quality, 10-1 Grand Marquez, 20s Electric Storm, Twilight Calls, and 40s Bar. I didn't love this race from a betting perspective personally. I thought it was difficult to have confidence in one horse over another. It's pretty much what we've seen over the last few years when it comes to these sprints just below the top level. They're kind of glorified handicaps in a way, where all of these horses could run in the big field handicaps at a big meeting, but equally now they're pitching their wits at group level and hoping to take some black type. I thought American Affair, as a result, was an interesting horse because he's been dominating handicaps over the last season. His 2 runs this year have been scintillating, and I really liked his performance last time. He raced on a side where there was no speed, moved to the middle of the track, losing ground and momentum in doing so, yet still managed to win. He's the horse on the up here, and American Affair at 6-1 is going to be my tentative selection. I won't be having a bet in the race, just a token pick for the podcast. Over to the Curragh now. Obviously, the Curragh is where all eyes will be this weekend because it is the Irish 2000 and the Irish 1000 Guineas. The 2000 Guineas being on Saturday, so that is the race that we'll preview in depth. And maybe we'll see some compensation in here for Field of Gold. John and Thady Gosden, Juddmonte, looking to get a victory next to this horse's name after an unlucky runner-up display in the English version of the 2000 Guineas. Colin Keane takes over for Kieran Schumacher. Obviously, we know that Kieran has kind of been dropped as the number one jockey for the connections, but they have said they were going to use him in some spots. So people were hoping that he would continue the ride with Field of Gold, but that's not the case. Ross, firstly, who do you like in the race? Well, actually, no. Firstly, do you think that's the right jockey decision? Secondly, who do you like in the race?
Well, I saw Colin Keane's name mentioned pretty much 3 minutes after Fields of Gold crossed the post in the 2000 Guineas at Newmarket. I thought it was quite interesting, actually. I then watched him on the Monday, and he rode at least 2 races on Monday where I felt he got himself in the wrong spot and was on the best horse and didn't win. That's not to throw shade on Colin Keane. It's just the vagaries of flat racing. The speed they're going, the space they have to work with is so restricted. And I think they might do it next year. I think if you polled, Twitter and Racing X's, with these angry opinions on flat jockeys, I'm sure they're more polarised as the flat season started because we've been used to watching jumps racing where jockeys tend to have a bit more space, tend to be going a bit slower, can make decisions it's still a quick time, but with a little bit more time. So, yeah, probably the right jockey, and he's a home jockey, isn't he? He's going to know the Curragh far better than Kieran Schumacher or any English jockey that the Goslings could have got. He is the right favourite. I went back and watched the 2000 Guineas, and I'm sure if, like you, backfields a goal, you feel you're on the best horse. I've watched it again. I don't think he was all that badly positioned, and I think if he was good enough, he had plenty of time to go and get the winner. So at odds on, and with a wide draw, he's in stall 9. I think I haven't written it down. I think he's stall 9, so he's out on the wing. Colin Keane is going to have the same issue Kieran Schumacher had, is that he's not just going to be able to jump and go forward because Fields of Gold could run Keane, so he's going to have to try and slot in. It could mean that he ends up too far back again, and Colin Keane's going to have to figure that out. So at odds on, he's, I think, comfortably the best horse in this race, but I'll leave him alone. Then there was Cosmic Year. I think it's a big step up from him from listed class. Whereas conversely, I can back a Group 1 winner in Hottershall at 9-1. He's only been beaten once. That was by Henri Matisse. I think he was well beaten. There was any fluke about the result. But if Henri Matisse was in here, given what he's done since, I think he'd be second favourite. Hottershall is 9-1. He's tough. He's a course and distance winner. He's uncomplicated. I think that will work for him. I think he can be ridden anywhere you like. He'll stay this trip really well. He's already won a mile on soft ground. And there is a bit of rain around. If the rain comes, he's not going to mind that either. He's 9-1. I can back him each way. The form with Delacroix from the Group 1 in the Futurity looks really good form. I think people are sleeping on him a little bit because he was perhaps taken out the 2000 Guineas last time. So 9-1, I thought he was a really nice each way price.
I'll tell you what, you won't be getting 9-1 if that rain does come. I think he'll be pushed into second favourite because of that form on soft ground from last year in the Futurity. But yeah, that 9-1 could look quite shrewd, especially from an each way perspective. I'm going to be with the Jolly in Field of Gold. As you said, I was with him in the English version. I thought he should have won the race. I personally don't believe necessarily it was down to jockey fault, albeit everyone else seemingly does. Look, I'm not saying it was a great ride. It wasn't, but I don't think it was a terrible ride either. I'd give him probably a 6 out of 10. He just moved 3 or 4 strides too late. But when they entered the dip, Field of Gold didn't pick up immediately, and that was probably the defining factor rather than any kind of positional play from Schumacher. Now, some people may say, well, the reason he didn't pick up was because he was too far back, and that is due to Schumacher not pressing the button early enough. But it was actually more due to the topography of the track, and he didn't want to fire himself into the dip, Field of Gold. He waited until the rising ground to really pick up. So that's my opinion of the English version. I also think Schumacher should have retained the mount. I'm not against Colin Keane by any means, but my own opinion is that Colin Keane is not as good as other people say. Again, maybe controversial, but that's my opinion. I don't think much separates them in their talent levels, Schumacher and Colin Keane. Nevertheless, I do think Field of Gold is way the horse to beat. This track will suit him better. He's a short price, but he's a proper Group 1 horse. And I'd be disappointed if he didn't get compensation on Saturday. Excellent racing at the Curragh, not only the 2000 Guineas itself, but the undercard, as well as Sunday, where we have the 1000 Guineas. We're filming this on Thursday. No full declarations, no draw We do have prices, but they're likely to fluctuate once we get the full declarations. But as it stands, Ross, is there anyone you like in the 1,000 guineas, the Irish version? Lake Victoria is your 5-4 favourite.
Yeah, two that I'd be keen to look at, seeing as if they're declared and what price RTC, which is Simmering. I thought she was a bit unfortunate. I think if she'd have run straight, she'd have gone really close at Newmarket. And then Bedtime Stories, who was all the rage as a juvenile early on last year, and then her form slightly tailed away. She was well beaten in France 2 weeks ago, but she ran home, and it's the first time she's finished her race off, and she was closer at the line than she was sort of 2 or 3 furlongs out, whereas her last few runs have been the reverse of that. She's sort of weakened quite tamely. If that's just brought her forward a bit and given her a bit of confidence, she can go through her race. I still wouldn't just completely shake the fact that clearly showed a lot of talent last year. She'd probably be a big prize. Ryan Moore certainly wouldn't be on her. So I'd be interested in her if she lines up just 2 weeks later. But Simmering and her would be the two I'd be looking at the moment.
Yeah, it's a race that looks like it revolves around Lake Victoria, but she's not the be all and end all, especially after that run at Newmarket. And I can see the case of Simmering, actually, who finished ahead of her over in the UK. So it's an interesting race. I haven't had a bet in this race, and I probably won't even by the time the race comes around. But I would keep an eye on City of Memphis if she is declared. Paddy Toomey literally cannot be stopped at the moment, and this filly looked good first time up. If you read the post-race quotes that are on the Racing Post website, Paddy says that they're going to go step by step with her. Well, they haven't. They've had one run. They've kept her off the track since, and they're potentially, providing she's declared, going to run straight in the 1,000 guineas second time up. So should be interesting to me from an each-way perspective, but as I say, I probably won't have a bet in the contest. Okay, that's the featured race previews. It's now time for our nap and next breast. Ross, don't tell me you're going to Cartmel.
Yeah, I am TC. I couldn't resist. I thought I'd have a TC going to the all weather in the middle of the winter. Flip reversal. The 505 is the nap, and you'll never guess who the trainer and jockey are. James Moffat, Charlotte Jones. This is their festival. They've got a great strike rate. I think the last 3 seasons you can have backed them blind to a profit. But this horse actually went into my notebook back in February. It's a horse called Rumours L. Runs here on a handicap debut off a mark of 102. Was third at Ayr in a novice hurdle, staying on quite nice over 2 mile 4. Beaten 7 lengths by the winner, who was 107. And then went and won at Carlisle 2 mile 4, won by 5 lengths. The runner-up is now rated 108. Hasn't been seen since. That just screams of, we've got our mark, we know where we're at, put her away. She stayed really well 2 mile 4 in both those hurdles. Goes up now to 3 miles 1, off a mark of 102. At their home track where they do so well. I thought that she had pretty outstanding credentials in the 505. And then the next bet is in the 638, again at Cartmel. Mickey Bowen made a really good start to his training career, having taken over from Peter Bowen. But I think in truth, not an awful lot has changed, just a bit of paperwork. And they've got Kate Madrick in this, falling with Alison Thorpe, who she won, didn't run all that well for having run well in France. First start for the Bowens wasn't all that successful. Dropped back over hurdles, didn't really run very well. Went to Fakenham last time, back over fences. Didn't jump at all well under a £5 claimer. And Fakenham is the sort of track that if you start jumping poorly, the topography of the track and the nature track just seems to compound that, and horses lose their rhythm and lose their confidence. Absolutely belted a couple of fences as the race was picking up, got a long way back. I thought did well to finish second, ultimately beaten 11 lengths. Got dropped £1 for that. Sean Bowen jumps on. That was 2 mile 5, goes up to 3 mile 1 on a track where it should be easier to find a little bit of a rhythm. I thought that Kate Madrick in the 638 had a good chance.
Yeah, 2 selections for Cartmel's Twilight card for Ross there. I'm going to unintentionally throw you under the bus here. In the 505, you said Rumours L is your selection. What price are you expecting? It's very difficult to obviously predict prices this far out, especially in jumps racing, summer jumps. But there are 2 horses in there that are coming in off the back of victories in Mermaid's Cave and Musique de Fay. Are we talking 5-1-ish, or are we talking shorter, bigger? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I looked and it came up in my track, and I was like, oh, is this going to be really short? And I'm not going to be able to use it as a selection. And then you look at what's in against them. Yeah, I'm hoping a bit of a price. 7-2, 4-1. I mean, 5-1 be lovely. I really think, I can't stress enough that this looks to me like this has been get our mark, put them away, and then off we go. And yeah, I'd be disappointed if it didn't go very close indeed. And it's a horse I'll follow at Cartmel now through the season.
Yeah, very interesting. Make sure you check out the prices as soon as SBK price up Cartmel to see what you're going to get on Ross's nap there. It could be good value based on Ross's analysis. My nap and next best are going to be on the flat. My nap is going to be a horse called Opportunity, who runs in the Cocked Hat Stakes, the 205 at Goodwood. This horse cost 475,000 guineas for Wathnan Racing. First time up, just looked a complete project. Didn't know what he was doing at all. Completely raw, immature. Everything you basically didn't want to see first time up, he showed. And then last time, when stepped up in trip, it was very much the same case until the final furlong, when he engaged overdrive and just blew past his rivals. I'm pretty sure he's well regarded at home. He's still got a Derby entry and an Irish Derby entry. If he's going to fulfill either of those, he's got to win this listed race. I like Opportunity. I think he's going to win and provide James Doyle with another winner after coming back from injury. My next best is very boring, I'm afraid, but it's a horse we've already talked about, and that is Field of Gold. Just getting a winner on the tally in the Irish 2000 Guineas. I think he's the horse to beat. I think his price is fair. He is a proper Group 1 horse, and I'll be following him throughout the year, especially when he takes on his elders, maybe over a mile or a mile 2 furlongs if he progresses throughout the next few months. Hopefully plenty of winners then given to you in this podcast and you've enjoyed the coverage. If you have, please like the podcast down below, subscribe to SBK so you don't miss out on any of our videos, and also whack a comment with any opinions you have on the topics we mentioned or horses that you like this weekend. Your nap and your next best, for example, would be great to hear. A reminder that SBK is offering a 20% Saturday horse racing ACCA. Make sure you go and have a look at that on the SBK app. T's and C's do apply, minimum 4 legs to qualify. But as I say, it's a great bonus. If you like putting your horses together, go and take advantage of that offer. SBK is also producing an offer for new customers. If you sign up and bet your first £10, you'll get £40 in free bets. Go and take advantage of that. Easy £40 for you to play. Maybe bet some of Ross and my selections this weekend. Go ahead and look at the SBK app for all other promotions that may happen over the next few days, few weeks. And also on the SBK app, you can listen to the Horse Racing Podcast if you don't want to trawl through YouTube to find them. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully plenty of winners this week. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.